I am your Wednesday love, your Wednesday listen. And if you're not getting the view, I feel sorry for you. Like, this hair is doing a thing. I went to Tammy Hampton over in Somerset. Okay, the cut is beautiful. It was up a bit more, like standing up a bit more when I first got it done, and I love me a high volume situation, honey. But the hair is beautiful. The cut is gorgeous. It is soft and like silky. I am enjoying this bald head experience that I got, the Tammy Hampton experience over at Somerset. So make sure you go check my girl out. The makeup is by Mercedes. I love going to Mercedes. I love Mercedes. Whenever we get together, it's always just a good conversation or a good key or both. Love it. Love it down. Okay, so shout out to Tammy over at Somerset on the hair and Mercedes on the makeup. Now, the hair was done. Easter was coming. I needed a cut. The back was mad uneven, so I had to get a cut. But the makeup is done today because I had the opportunity to go over to ABC 12 and talk about the experience with having a autistic child, a child on the spectrum. It is Autism Awareness Month. From what I'm understanding, they changed it to Autism Acceptance, but I don't really like that term. Acceptance? It's feeling like I'm begging for people to accept my son. I'm not doing that. Autism awareness it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I had that interview today. It was amazing. It just felt so good to talk about my son and like our experience. I feel like our story, but anybody's story can be helpful to somebody. So I love that opportunity. And I wore our sweatshirt. So his godmom passed away. And I made this little cutesy logo on Canva because I felt like it's really cute and like whimsy, and it represents her, it represents him, and I got it on a sweatshirt for me and one for him. And we were both supposed to be on the news, but he flaked. Okay. They let my boy get into the newsroom with the dry erase board and all of the markers, and he felt like he needed to get his Basquiat on. I'm not mad, but nonetheless, the interview was great. It was a great time. It's always a great time talking about my son. And Dawn Jones is just, it's just so easy to talk to her. You know what I mean? So moving on from that, I want to talk about something. I feel like I'm talking really fast, and I think it's because you can see me. But I want to talk about a post I put up on Substack the other day. It was Monday when this post went up on Substack. And while I love the post and I love what I had to say in the post, when I write these days, I'm very nervous about the sharing of what it is I'm writing. I am getting to a different kind of vulnerability in my writing that is pushing me a little bit, but it's also making me nervous because I'm saying some things in these posts, in these articles. I'm not just writing anything, and I'm not just talking about relationships, if I'm ever talking about a dating relationship now. So it's a bit different. But this particular post was about an interview, or two interviews, I should say, that I had with nonprofits. And I felt it appropriate to discuss the topic because the question was asked in both interviews. What made me, like the best fit for the job, basically. And my response to them was that I am the best fit for the job because of my experience, right? Lived experience and hands-on experience with the two titles they were asking me for, but also because I'm here. I'm in the city of Flint. I am here, like the DNA runs through my veins. I live in the city of Flint. My kid goes to school at a Flint school. My parents have a church in the city of Flint. You know what I mean? Like, I give back in this city. I sit on a board in this city. I shop here. Like, I buy local. I support the local brands here. You know what I mean? Like, I have a pulse on the city. And I think that that's what makes me the best candidate for either position that I interview for. And in one of the interviews, they asked, it was something along the lines of like, what would I do differently or whatever. And for me, it wouldn't be different for me, but it might be different for the approach of the person in that position. And that would be to start showing up in spaces and places that a lot of people aren't interested in going. There is a corner store over on Dartmouth, and I haven't been there in a while. And when I say wow, I don't mean like since I was a little girl, but I mean like maybe like a year or two. But they are not just a corner store. Like they have tacos and nachos, like, and we've been going there and getting nachos or tacos or whatever from them since I was a little girl. You know what I mean? I'm a part of the conversations where we're asking who's better, La Familia or La Azteca. You know what I mean? Like I'm in these conversations. I'm a part of these things, and I've been a supporter of the people in this community for a long time. So I wouldn't have to do anything different for myself. I'm already shopping local, buying local, living locally. It'll just be a matter of me showing up doing those things in representation of this nonprofit or this business. That is how the question ended up being answered. You know what I mean? But my point of writing the post was, this is a conversation that I've had outside of this interview space. I've had conversations with people and they've brought up their issue with not seeing people who are from the city, who live in the city, who live and breathe the city, basically, you know what I mean, not being in these important seats and helping to make some of these decisions or coordinate some of these resources that help people who actually are in the city and need them. And the conversation begs to me to pay attention to what it is we're doing for the city. And not just hitting the number, right? Like if you have a capacity of 200 and you make it to 201 people and you're like, oh, we were over capacity, the room was filled, all of the things, and you feel like that's success. I'm not taking away from that, right? That is a truth. But the truth is, who were the people in those rooms? Were they the people who really needed this resource, or were they people who knew the people that needed it weren't coming, so they showed up? Were these people from the north side, the south side of the city, or were these people from Fenton and Flushing? You know what I mean? Who are these people that were filling the room? And who have been these people that are filling the room? Who are the people on your marketing materials? You know what I mean? And a lot of the times when these events are put on, the marketing material is really just the photos that are taken when the events go on. So, but who are these people? Do the people in this room say to the community that is living in 4850, working in 4850, going to school in 4850, does this say, oh, I know him, I know her? Okay, next time this happens, I need to be in the room, and they're in the room. Is that happening? Because if those kind of things aren't happening, you have to look at what you're doing and what you're presenting, and if it says you're welcome here, or if it says, you know, not so much within your marketing space. You see what I'm saying? You understand where I'm coming from? And while I am fighting for the home team, I'm not fighting for the home team in a one-sided argument. I don't think that it should only be people who are living, breathing, live in this community in those chairs. I do believe that there is a lot of value in having people from the outside come in, because people from the outside have seen things in their communities that they could bring here. But there is value in partnering those two people, those two demographic of people together to help things move forward, to help the city thrive. There's so much value in that. And that's just what I think. That's just how I feel about the entire scope of things. And it was weird to write it. It was weird to write about it. It was weird to write about it, share it, and then see it go up. Right? I looked on LinkedIn, it's at 620 impressions. That's a lot of impressions for me in 24 hours. I looked at it over on Substack, and you know what I'm saying, that number that's over there, very scary for me. 45 shares on Facebook, very scary for me. Because normally I'll write something and people will read it and be like, oh, this was a nice read, this was a good read, this was good, girl. Like the last couple ones have really hit. But for it to be moving like that in 24 hours is a lot for me. And I'm just like, please, you know what I mean? And I've had people respond who agreed but wished I would have said more. I've had people who responded who loved the perspective but had a different one. And I can respect a different perspective as long as I can respect a different perspective, period. But I am going to have pushback if that perspective breeds the same outcome or kind of issues that mine will. You know what I mean? Saying, oh, that's a risky idea. All of it's risky. You know what I mean? People from the hometown having those positions or being a part of that planning and conversation, of course, it's risky. But so is not allowing that good mix or good balance. That is what's risky. And that is what's got us in the predicament that we're in. Another part to that, another layer to allowing that is that there still needs to be checks and balances in the workplace. I'm not sure what happened, what took place, but at one point companies were having checks and balances that looked like going to leadership conferences, that looked like evaluations, you know what I'm saying, that looked like real deal, real spill, accountability. It really did. And now it's not doing that anymore, but there still needs to be checks and balances in the workplace. There should be a place for accountability in the workplace, and especially within your reviews and your conversations. You know what I mean? Because those kind of things really do serve a company. It serves the community. It serves the growth. There has to be checks and balances. I know that there's been people in those positions who have done shitty things, both from and not from the city. But there has to be checks and balances for either side. You know what I mean? There has to be a check and balance. There has to be opportunity to grow, opportunity to learn, opportunity to expand, and all of those things. You know what I'm saying? In ways that make sense, because there might not be room for you to move up. You know what I'm saying? But there should be room for you to expand, for you to learn something new in this space, for you to continue learning in this space. You know what I mean? It should just be a requirement. It should literally just be a requirement. I did have somebody read the post, ask me, what do we need to do to get this here? And one of the most important things I think that has to happen is that somebody who is already within these rooms and has seats at these tables, and probably more than one person at the table, but some people within these rooms and spaces have to say, you know what, I happen to see value in getting this person an assistant or a whatever, that is from the city, that can actually help do X, Y, and Z, that can actually be an ear and is an ear because they just live there. Like, there has to be somebody at the table who does that, who's willing to do that. Because if people in the room already hear what I have to say or hear something similar and they agree, but they just go back to their desk or go back to their whatever they're doing and do nothing, then I mean, you know what I mean? What are we doing? Like, That's what it's going to take. And then it's also going to take, and if that does not work, it will also take people just kind of showing you that the resources are needed or the resources that you have to offer are valuable. I think one more thing that would have to really be done in that area is the actual relationship build, and not the, oh, I went there to offer and they didn't want. A relationship has to be built, because I want you to look at it this way. If you see me and my son out at Chevy Commons playing and you come over to me and you notice that I'm tired, I'm always going to look tired. But you're like, oh, you're tired. I can play with him. I can run with him through Chevy Commons. No, you can't. I don't know you. I don't trust you to run with my son nowhere without me present. You see what I'm saying? But if there's a relationship built, I might not let you take my place, but I might let you run with us. And use that frame of mind for people's business. People put everything into their businesses, especially when they're from a small city and they don't have a lot of money. Sometimes they dump everything into that business to bet on themselves. They're not going to just give it to you when they don't know you, they don't trust you, they've never seen a track record for you, because this is their baby. It's going to be an absolute no from the beginning. But imagine going there. Imagine, buying merch or using this service provider or showing up for them, having conversations, meeting them where they actually are. And then after the relationship is built, a couple weeks, couple months, you say, you know what? I actually work for X, Y, and Z. And we offer this. And the event is in a couple weeks. Would you like to come? I can promise you that we can get you some kind of help. Like, you see what I'm saying? There's value in relationship building, not just going door to door knocking to see what's going on. Like, put it in your budget to start using these people and patronizing. Is that the word? Is patronizing? Am I pronouncing that right? Let me know. But start using these people is the point. You know what I mean? Start investing in them for things that you want every day. It just makes it a lot easier to offer them help then, because they have built a rapport and they trust you. You've shown them, you know what I'm saying, who you are and that you can connect with them. You've shown them that. You didn't just come to the door asking them for something that is very precious, vulnerable to them. You see what I'm saying? Those are the things that I think are important. So somebody at the table has to see the value in this and really talk about it, not just be quiet. And when the people are looking to build looking to give resources, they have to be willing to build a relationship. The same way you build in a budget for the event, the same way you take time to figure out who's going to cater, who's going to decorate. Take time for relationship building. 60 days. 60 days of relationship building with some key players or just some decent, good brands that you have not, that come from the north side, the south side, the east, the west. 60 days. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a business in each area, a brand in each area, but take time to build out and carve out a relationship, because then they can be your story about the resources you offer. They can be your person about those resources you offer. And other people will identify with them like, oh yeah, I run into her all the time at Audio Corona. Because you're going to run into me. Period. I'm there. But that's my thought process. That's what I think. Those are two things I think that can be done. And that's all I got. You know what I mean? On that, I can get into it. We can really have a conversation about it. But that's all I got on it right now. The next thing I wanted to get into is the makeup is just so cute. I'm sorry, it is. But the next thing I want to get into is telling people, specifically just people, you know what I mean? I would say women, but people, because men too, they had this issue too. Stop letting people make you bound to your bad decision, to your uninformed decision. Okay, so to your bad choice, your uninformed decision, and your mistakes. Because those are three different things. You know, people love to just call all three a mistake. I'm not going to let you slide with that, okay? There are bad choices, there are uninformed decisions, and then there are mistakes. That's the difference. A bad choice is something where you're just like, I know the other option is something that is good or that has a more positive outcome, but I'm itching to do the bad choice. Like, the bad choice is just my thing right now. I have not grown past doing this. That's the bad choice. The uninformed decision is when you don't know all of the information. You make this decision based off of the little bit that you know, and bam, the shit blows up in your face. That is the uninformed decision. And the mistake, well, I think we know what a mistake is. You know what I'm saying? A mistake is literally like, oops, I meant to press 7 and I pressed 8. That's the mistake. You know what I'm saying? A mistake is something that is literally something so minor and minute. Less and less things are mistakes as you get older. Either way, don't let anybody bind you to those three things, especially if you are growing and you've grown away from living that kind of life. The example I'm going to use is going to be about the baby mama, baby daddy conversation that is forever ongoing on social media. But it was a day I got on social media, and I don't know these people, you know what I mean? I hadn't said nothing crazy. I don't think. But I just, at that point, I don't think I had. But I remember seeing somebody say, like, and look at who your baby daddy is, or something like that. And I was like, damn, like, whoever that is, whoever they talking about, I really hope that she has, like, moved on from that nigga. Whoever the baby daddy is, I hope she's moved on from that, because people will try to hold that shit over your head. Kid will be all of 15 and you ain't touched that man in 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, God forbid I made a mistake 15 years ago, or I made a bad choice 15 years ago, ain't made the choice in 5 years, and here you are to remind me. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm sure in your arsenal, there are bad choices. There are ill-informed or uninformed decisions. And there are mistakes that you wouldn't want to be bound to, and you wouldn't want nobody to try to joke about with you. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying people have to stop, because sometimes the joke is funny. Sometimes the joke lands. I'm going to stop messing with my hair. Sometimes the joke is funny. Sometimes the joke lands. And kudos to you. The joke is landing. The joke is funny. But for the person on the other side, stop letting people like bind you to that shit. Stop letting them do that. Because especially if you've been working, if you've been doing the work. Now, if you still doing that, you kind of attached, yeah. You know what I mean? You exactly who they think you are. But if you ain't on that no more, stop letting people bind you up to that bullshit you used to be. Child, I'm telling you right now. Can't nobody tell me Nathan. You understand? Can't nobody tell me Nathan about stuff I was doing 2 years ago. Literally a year ago, for real. But 2 years ago, you bring up some shit from 2 years ago, and I'm just going to give you a blank stare like this. Because I don't know what you own. But me and that girl from 2 years ago, we ain't the same. We ain't the same. You know what I mean? Like, we're different people. We've done different things. Life has changed, baby. You can't bring that shit up for me no more. You can, but you won't get no reaction. It ain't gonna land like you think it is. And even if it do land, and people laugh because they still live in 2 years ago, or because they're still stuck in who they've been for the past 10 years or better, that just lets me know you the wrong motherfuckers I'm not supposed to be. You the motherfuckers I ain't supposed to be around. You know what I'm saying? That's what that tells me. Because you ain't grew. Have you not changed? You still making the same? I'm on set, you know? But I want to leave you with that. I thought I had something else to talk about, but I don't. I don't. I just wanted you to see my face. And if you're listening to this, you need to go ahead and go over to the YouTube page, honey, because I look so pretty. It is a crime. Anyway, we will talk next week. This has been great.